Okay, we are officially live. I'm just gonna put it up on my phone so that I can see the questions because the questions always pop up faster on the phone.
Got you. My only thing is, the horrible thing about me and my reviews and reading period is after like the first day that I finish reading a book, after that, like I almost completely forget everything.
Like, what happened? Who's that? Who's that cat?
Like, wait, that happened?
Somebody talking about the book, you be like, that sounds good. And then you're like, wait, I read that?
Oh!
I'm crying. Oh my God. Oh, that's too loud. Let me stop. Okay, so I have it up on my phone. I'm just gonna wait for people to come in. I actually don't know. What did you read? What did you read for this month?
I read We Hunt the Flame.
Ah, okay. Yes.
Finally, I've had it for I want to say a good second. I'm actually gonna bring it up on my Kindle so that I can look at my notes.
Look at you, prepared.
The little bit of notes that I did take. I actually stopped taking notes because I also want to enjoy it. So
yeah.
Once I usually when I stop and interrupt my train of thought, then I always have to do a lot to get back in.
Yeah.
So I took the most minimal amount of notes.
We have a couple of viewers. Hello for everybody here. We're just giving everybody a second to come collect themselves. So probably start at 3:10. So 4 or 5 minutes. Oh my gosh, yay. I'm happy you read that. So now that we can talk about it. Without spoilers, but
okay, without spoilers.
Without spoilers.
I mean, after this, we're definitely gonna have to talk about it with
spoilers. Oh yeah.
With spoilers,
because
there's some things in here that I need to get off my chest.
And then the second one is coming out, so
I'm very excited for that.
I am too. We're gonna get into this. Oh, I'm excited. I'm happy you read that. I was a little nervous when I do this because I wanted to see that everybody reads a different book, so there's no pressure. And some people just can't afford to go buy a new book just because. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather just read whatever books you have. Also to take off stuff off your TBR. We all got mad books sitting around that we need to be reading anyway. So I was like, if it's
that we keep building on.
Yeah. Yes. So I wanted to do that, but sometimes it could be a little weird because if people don't know the book, I haven't read the book. But for the most part, everybody for the past live shows, and you guys have watched the past live shows, y'all can also attest to this. We've kind of just now it becomes this little community of people sharing books. Oh, I didn't read that, but I want to read that. Or that sounds so cool. So yeah, it's really fun. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy you read that. It's gonna be great.
It's taken me a while because I actually got it, I think, right as soon as it came out. So it's been a year that it's been out. And
what you was waiting for? A song?
It's just, like you said, the list of things to read. And then I'm one of those people, too, who has to be in the mood to read everything.
Yeah.
So I can make a list of things that I want to read and, measure it out, read this month, read this that month. And I'll never do it simply because, hey, I saw something else.
And I'm not in the mood. I'm not here for it.
I cannot stay on a reading schedule for anything.
No. Yeah, I'm same. I'm And then also, is it just me? Sometimes I want authors to stop writing books just so I can catch up on my TBR. Stop releasing stuff. They be publishing every week.
Just give me a good year.
Just give me the time. Every time I blink, there's a new book. Even today, Miss Stephanie Myers finally released what she was working on. She finally is releasing Midnight Sun, which is she released the novella years ago, 2009, and it's basically Twilight from Edward's perspective. So she finally finished the book.
I did see that in the store.
Yeah, so she finally finished the book. And she's publishing it in August. So I'm gonna read that. That'd be a cute little reading vlog. Because I'm such a Twilight stan.
I used to be, I really used to be, and then I think because I'm one of those type of people who once everyone likes something,
I don't like it. But it's y'all ruined this for me. Okay, we're sitting here kiki. Okay. Hello everybody, Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak for those that are celebrating. This is the Iqra Trials live show, and today's live show was based off of the challenge for April, which was to read a book by a Muslim author who wears a veil, either a niqab or a hijab. And I really just wanted to support Muslim women in the publishing industry, specifically hijabis. We don't see a lot of them, a lot of their stories being picked up by like major publishers. So I wanted this challenge to be about us, just sharing some good gems or maybe bad stories by hijabi authors so that more people are just like exposed to it. My guest today is my lovely friend Maryam, who I've known for entirely too long. Maryam also has a bookstagram, which she needs to start back up. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had to get a new phone first before I did that because my phone broke, and then I got the new one, and now it's Ramadan, and so post Ramadan, inshallah, I really will.
Yes, inshallah. Okay, so just introduce yourself. Tell us a little about your life.
As she said, my name is Maryam. I'm 23 years old. I do have a bookstagram, like she said, that's on hiatus right now.
Don't pause, but
I
it's
also
there.
have a book Twitter and a blog, which are all on hiatus. Under the name of TheRoadLessRead. My goal with that blog is to basically highlight fiction written by Muslim authors, fiction with Muslim characters. As a Black Muslim, of course, I'm very much in search of fiction written by Black Muslims.
Yeah.
What else about me? I mean, I think that's it as far as pertaining to this.
Okay, so what book did you read? Tell the world.
I read We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. It was great. I loved it, actually. 5 stars for me.
Ooh.
Like I really enjoyed it. So
I like that.
I would give it
5 stars. What did I give it? I think I gave it a 4. 3.754, something like that. For those that watched my very first live show with Sajid from Books on My Social Life, I was reading We Hunt the Flame. So this is all great. So if you guys watch that, you know a little bit about We Hunt the Flame. But just tell them like a quick synopsis of the story. Also, if you hear noise, I live in a Black Muslim household. We're just not gonna talk about it, okay?
I'm horrible at synopsis. But I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. So basically, there's a girl named Zafira. Like I was just telling Tahira how once I read a book, like the next day I forget everything. So bear with me. There's a girl named Zafira, and she lives in, this is like an Arabian-inspired fantasy world. So in this world, there used to be like a land full of magic, and right now there's like woods that she hunts in, and she's the only person who can find her way out of these woods. So eventually she has to go on a quest to bring back magic to her world. And she meets up with a whole gang of people.
Mad people.
Like,
in this desert. I don't know. This would be a secret mission. There's like 5 people here.
Exactly. Like not secret. That's really the most simple gist of it. Like,
yeah. So I read, yes, house is never quiet. I read 2 books. Oh, like what? 1.5. So the first book that I read, both of these were ebooks, by the way, because I finally got a Scribd membership after I did like the month-long free trial. And I was just like, let me just do Scribd because I realized I was reading a lot more. So I read Saints and Misfits by S.K. Ali.
I love Saints and Misfits.
Yes. And then I'm halfway through The Bird King by D. Willow Wilson, which is so interesting. It also kind of ties into the challenge for next month, which is to read a historical fiction book by a Muslim author and from an Islamic time period. It kind of ties into that, but I'm about halfway through that. So Saints and Misfits, for those who haven't read it, first of all, we stan S.K. Ali. This is a S.K. Ali stan moment.
Very much
like,
so.
everything she touches is just
Very much
gold.
so.
Like we love her. We love her. So actually, Maryam was telling me for mad long to like read more FK Ali, and I had read Love from A to Z before I read Saints and Misfits. So when I picked it up, I had like high expectations, and I really did like it. I think I gave it. Ooh, child. I think I gave it like. What did I give it? I maybe gave it like a 3 out of 5, but that wasn't bad. My only critiques, we'll get into that later, but it's just because I'm older, you know, and the book is she's like 15 in the book, so it's a bit juvenile. But other than that, like
can we touch on that later?
Yes.
Like I want to touch on that later.
Yes, but other than that, I really did enjoy the book. And then, like I said, the other book I'm reading is The Bird King by G. Willow Wilson, and The Bird King is about. It's taking place in a time where Spain is under Muslim occupation, and the Spanish are now coming back to get their territory. And so we have a main character. Wow, I didn't even explain Saints and Misfits. We're going to go back to that. We have a main character. I think her name is Fatima? Or am I just picking random Muslim names? I also can't remember what the story is about.
I feel like it counts.
Miss Fatima, and she is a concubine in the Sultan's palace. And then we follow her friend as well, whose name is Hassan, and he's a map maker. And he has this kind of like ability so that anything he writes or like draws on the map, it kind of appears. So if he's making a map and he draws like a tunnel, there'll be a tunnel there that wasn't there before. Like it's something like that. So he can kind of create like gaps or holes in like reality in a really funky way. And so they are running away from the Spanish and the Muslim soldiers because they're saying that he's a sorcerer. So it's their journey to this island, which is based off of the story of the Bird King. So that's really interesting. And then back to Saints and Misfits. It's about a girl. What's her name? I don't remember.
Starts with an S, I think. No. It doesn't start with S. The other girl's name starts with an S.
Yeah.
It's literally sitting there staring at me on my shelf. Like
what's we have a character in Saints and Misfits. Does it? Yo, this is absolutely hilarious. Goes on Goodreads, like in the corner. Like, just don't look at me.
Let me go check.
Definitely on Goodreads. This is the content y'all wanted, for Ramadan. You're welcome.
I feel like we have an excuse though, because fasting brain.
Yeah, I'm like, out of it, child. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, what's her name? It also her name is Jenna. Is that her name? Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Oh my god, it is.
So Sister Jenna. Oh wow. Like, yeah, Ramadan brain is really hitting. Oh my gosh, because I'm like,
and to think that's what we're trying to get to too.
I can't even remember my name. Miss Jenna is a high school student, and she how do I explain this? She has this encounter with this guy from her masjid, and but nobody knows about this situation that happened. So she's dealing with the aftermath of that, like mentally, and also trying to balance just, being a young Muslim girl and also like being in high school and crushes and family issues. It's a cute, contemporary, like well-rounded story. But let's talk about We Have the Flame. What was your first impression?
Oh, we're gonna dig right into it, huh?
Yes. What was your first impression, like reading it? What was your vibe?
Okay, so my thing is, even though I was very, very, very excited for it, mm-hmm. I really want Muslims to start writing more fantasy without magic. Just because, not even just Muslims, honestly. Like, I just feel like fantasy is such an amazing thing where you can make anything happen, literally anything. So for it to be magic and jinns all the time for Muslims, I just feel like we can do better. Like, come on, like our imagination is amazing. Like,
and why y'all keep playing about? I'm sorry to cut you off, but the idea of like putting jinns in this like fantastical category is very frustrating for me.
Yes,
because you're gonna summon something talking about it's a fantasy. Stop it. Stop.
And I really have like such a like tug of war with myself for this because I really enjoy the books. Like, so it's like, bro, like, come on, can we do something other than it free all the time and this, that, and the third, like stuff that we don't mess with in real life.
Yeah.
And I understand it's fantasy too, so it's like, I don't know.
But just
like,
broaden the genre, you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even though I was really excited for that, I'm kind of like, bro, do I want to read this during Ramadan? Especially when these niggas is locked up right now. Like, come on now. Like, like Shady is locked up. Like, but you know, once I got in, like I forced myself to like get into it and stuff like that. It was really, really interesting. I did have some annoyances with some of the characters. Zafira herself actually kind of annoyed me a lot. And I didn't write down in my notes why she annoyed me so much. But there was just like certain decisions she would make and certain things she would say where it was like, girl, come on.
Yes.
Just let's go. Like, and funny enough too, the guy that she ends up like liking in the end. Well, not in the end, so in the book. What's
wherever that happened. Nasir, yeah.
Nasir was getting on my nerves too. Not gonna hold you. Like my favorite character was Altair. I think I'm saying his name right. That's my baby. Like that's my
period. I was like, everybody else could go.
That's my baby. Like
he was carrying the whole book on his back. I'm like, you okay?
The whole entire book.
Oh my god, from start to literally, and then even the end, start to end. I'm not gonna spoil it.
Even the end, he took that. Like,
bro, the last like 2 pages, like he literally carried the entire book on his back.
And I want to talk about that, but I don't know if that's a spoiler. Like, I feel
that's
like
a spoiler.
I feel
like that's a spoiler. Somebody said We Hunt the Flame was too slow for my taste. I definitely agree.
It did start off very slow. Actually, yes.
Super.
It started off very slow. Like, I was really like, this part in the book, like,
yes,
is something going to happen already?
It was a lot. And I know that we can have like slow pace and like slow burn fantasy novels and books in general, but it didn't feel like she was doing us any favors by making it slow. Like there wasn't anything super crazy like from when she actually started the book to when she starts on the journey.
Yeah.
The biggest event I remember is her friend getting married.
Exactly. That was the biggest event. Nothing else besides that really happened.
And that was it. And then the witch popping up, but she was there for 2 seconds. But that was it. So I was like, I don't know why we have like half the book is just
there
like,
was stuff about slow. The witch too that just like I guess even once they tied everything up in the end, I was still a little confused about the witch and how
I didn't know what
came up about her.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like it kind of came out from left field to me.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I was like, does that really add up?
Like, so that was her purpose this entire time.
Yeah, like,
and yeah, it was really weird. For those who haven't read We Hunt the Flame, there's like a witch in the series, and she kind of acts as a jinn for this point that she's like poking everybody. She was like a little bit of the mastermind, like putting everything into like place. So she was like whispering to the king and like saying stuff to Zafira, and then like saying stuff to not Altair, but the other one. You know what I'm talking about? The one that came on the boat. Like, even them being on the boat and stuff like that.
Benjamin?
Yes.
I love Benjamin, too.
I love him.
He's such a
I'm so black. I just keep calling him Benjamin in my head because I can't be bothered. But that's definitely his name.
Benjamin, like, even before this, Benjamin was always a name that I just loved.
That's a beautiful name.
It is. And it has Quranic context as well. So,
yeah,
like, that name has always been just a name dear to my heart. So
I love his character as well. He was giving me very, like, I don't know, like his vibe was very just not of this world.
Peaceful to me.
Yeah, very like his aura was just very like
kind of like fatherly in a way.
Yes.
And caring.
Yeah.
Like not too fatherly, like overbearing, but like just kind of like, hey y'all, like come on, let me bring y'all together. Like
yeah. Okay, so who was your least favorite character?
My least favorite character. Thinking about it, I want to say that Nasir may have been my least favorite character.
Ooh, tea. Spill. Why?
He was just so resistant. Like, so resistant to... Like, I understood it, but Like, based on his history, like, I understood it. But there were times where it's like, bro, you're in the middle of this island and your father can't even reach you right now. And you're still being so resistant and so hard-headed and so annoying when you have this gang of people around you who are willing to support you if you just retreat a little.
Literally. Yeah.
Like, so I'm not gonna say like I disliked him all the way, but he was definitely annoying. Like, that was definitely annoying. Like, like after a while, I thought that he would start pulling back.
Yeah.
And
it took a very long time for his walls to come down. A very long time. How did you feel about the romance without spoilers? But how do you feel about the romance?
Okay, so the first person I'm going to say, trying to say this without spoiling, the first person, I wanted her with the first person.
Yes. Oh my god.
And I think this is one of the first times, I'm not going to say the first time, that I've read a story and I'm like, I don't like this guy for her. Like, especially because authors write it so that if two people are falling in love, they fit each other.
Yeah.
It's like more like I wanted Zafira and Nasir to be friends, to be like some best buddies friends.
Homies,
like, yes, to be some best homies or some junk where he's low-key her brother, like from another mother. That's what I wanted from them. I didn't want, like, the romance didn't really sit well with me because I wanted her with the first guy.
Yeah. Hi, Mina. Oh my gosh, yay. For those who don't know, Mina hosted the last live show with me. I will link that down below. Hey girl, what's up? Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I wanted her with the first guy. That moment in the story, that part really hurt me because I was like, she just didn't like care. She really wasn't as pressed as she should have. Even if it wasn't from a romantic standpoint, from a human, like, I've known you my entire life. Your sister's my best friend. Like, you've always been there for me. She said 2 tears.
Exactly. She was like, okay, gotta get up and keep moving. Like,
and just swallow. Just swallow. Just swallow it. It's fine. Just go ahead. Just sink into the sand. I was like, ooh, child. Yeah, that was
like,
I would have been rolling around in that
sand. He did so much for her too. Like,
yeah. There was a lot of times where Zafira came off as very, like, she's just out of touch. And it just feels like I just felt like if she couldn't, I don't know. How do I phrase this? I understand her being kind of like cold because that's, because there's stuff going on with, like, in her household with, like, her parent and, like, her dad, and her just feeling like everything is her fault and, like, not wanting people to be too close to her. But to a certain extent, it comes across as very ungrateful to the people you care about. Exactly. And it was just very hard for me to see that connection of her treating, like, her best friend and homeboy one type of way, and wasn't even being super warm and loving to them. Like, she showed her love towards them by hunting for them. And in regards to their actual relationship, she kind of fell flat. So I just didn't understand. Like, that didn't change when she was with the group. And I don't feel like it changed with Nasir either. She was just still emotionally unavailable. Exactly. Really, if I'm being honest. Exactly. I didn't really see much character growth from her in that way. I think she grew in other ways, but that was something that was just very, like, weird to me. I was like, she's super just cold and, like, detached. And I think that's why I probably wasn't, like, Alter so much and Benjamin, because their personalities were so different from Zafira and Nasir, who were sitting there broken with the attitude for the whole book.
Yes. And it's Alter like, was just broken. Like, I get broken because a lot of us are broken in some way. But I do feel like there was time and room for development, especially being on that island where
in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly, where essentially the rest of the outside things influencing those feelings are gone.
Yeah.
They're not easily accessible. So when you have these two people around you, like Alter and Benjamin, who are willing to, even though they might not admit it like that, they're willing to care and to love in other ways. Yeah. And willingly, like, not taking advantage of it kind of like really was like, bro, like
it was a lot.
Come on now.
What was your favorite like scene from the book that you can remember? Like a favorite scene or a favorite moment?
A favorite scene. This one I think is hard for me. Memory problems. But I'm going to say, excuse me, simply because I like weddings, I'm going to say the wedding scene.
That was cute. I could see that very vividly in my head though, like the scene.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah,
and she said they were her best friend, and like everybody's in the room. Yeah,
exactly.
That was cute.
I did love that scene, but I have to like if I go over it again, I feel like I'm gonna find something else that I liked better though.
Yeah. Somebody said honestly, Zafira and Yasmin had more chemistry than her, and that's honestly. Yo, she didn't deserve her either. Like Yasmin was really trying to be a good
was a great friend.
Oh my god,
a great friend, like.
Oh my god. I'm saying my favorite scene, and I like tweeted about this. I was reading the book, they on the island, and these like wolves come out of nowhere.
Yes.
And then after fighting, the wolves turned into like Muslim guys with a thobe. And even my fear was like, how they thobe is pure white? Where did it come from? Right? Like even in werewolf stories, they go from like wolf form to naked. And I know like, have some haya, but like I know covering the outer, I get it. But how did the thobe and the kufiyah come from the wolf? Where did he put it?
That's because magic says magic.
Yeah. But that's stuff like that. And in regards to like Muslim stories, we need more of that. Like that doesn't even need to be explained by anything because it's a fantasy novel. It just happens, and you just have to deal with it. I was saying there like, how did that go on?
But like that's definitely I have to agree a favorite for me because I love werewolves. Hilarious. I love werewolves. Right? I love shifters. Like I love that. So to have these niggas come up in a throat, like after coming out of wolf form. How you doing?
I was like, I literally put on Twitter, I was like, this is what happens when Muslim people write fantasy novels. This is what we write.
And that's what we write. Just like you said, like, that's what I love.
Oh my God. Somebody asked, do y'all feel the authors sometimes overdo the grief / brokenness in main characters, like in Children of Blood and Bone? Ooh, that's a good question.
That authors in general overdo the grief?
Yeah.
No, personally, I haven't finished Children of Blood and Bone, so I can't.
We're not gonna talk about that.
I shouldn't have admitted that out loud.
I don't know why you did that on this live. We don't have to end this call. Y'all back.
But a lot of times, I feel like they actually don't do a great job of showing the grief.
I feel like the representation is actually, the representation is not amazing for a lot of these authors. They'll put it, but I just feel like they kind of fumble the bag. They like drop the ball and like, they were going somewhere, and then
in Saints and Misfits, I have to say, I felt Saints and Misfits. And if I'm not mistaken, I feel like that was really I feel like that was done well. And We Hunt the Flame. Not so much. It was touched upon, and it was mentioned again, but I do feel like there was room for more grief. In some ways.
Speaking of Children of Blood and Bone and just like other books like that, I'm always in a weird position because when I read books about like grief or like broken characters, specifically like Black women or women of color, nowadays to kind of combat like gender roles and stuff like that, you'll have these you'll have these women characters that are so like emotionally just like hard, and all of their strength comes from
I can't hear anything.
Really?
I don't know if you can hear me.
Wait, hold up. Oh my God. Can you hear me now?
Should I go out and come back in? Like, nod if yes.
Yeah.
No? Okay.
So Maryam's gonna come back. you hear me. But what was I saying? Oh, I feel like they kind of overdo this whole like female characters like super strong but emotionally just withdrawn to kind of combat the idea that like women are supposed to be like soft and gentle, which I completely understand. But it's annoying if it like hinders the character's progression and their overall character growth. If that makes any sense. In CBB, I will say that I felt like oh, you're not.
Yeah, I'm back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, I don't know
Okay,
what happened.
cool. I was just saying that I feel like to combat the whole idea of like women aren't always soft and feminine or whatever, they make these female characters really, really hard and aggressive. And I think I've seen that a lot in just I feel like the last like 5 years of books about with a female protagonist, like all of them are just like super like badass and da, 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 but there's no like there's it sounds so corny, but I feel like there's a piece of like their soul missing. Like there's something that's like not connecting. But my issue, my personal issues, and she mentioned Children of Blood and Bone, is because me, like as a black woman dealing with the stuff I deal with in the world, I also have a very strong sense of like being emotionally withdrawn. I can sometimes be very cold. I can sometimes be very just like not with it at all. So when I read these stories, like when I read CBB, I related to Zelle so much. But then when I read like Saints and Misfits, I found myself not being patient with Jenna because of how she displayed her grief. And I think it's just because we tell black women that you to be strong, you have to be like you always have to be strong, you always have to be like hard and stuff like that. So seeing her display a sense of weakness honestly made me upset. And now that I have to unpack that and unlearn it. I'm like, why is it making me so mad that the 16-year-old girl doesn't talk about the fact that she was almost sexually assaulted? Like, why would that be something she wants to like, scream from the rooftop, you know? But I feel like we tell women, especially like black women, like you have to be strong, like like don't let them bother you, like brush your shoulders off. And also as Muslims, we always be like just go pray and just jumping around all the issues. So that's definitely a theme in books that I definitely have to like challenge myself on because as much as I love strong characters, it's also important to know that you can have these characters that are so strong, especially as women, that it becomes a negative aspect of their personality, which affects reading the book because then you're just like, okay, well now at first I understood you being a little aggressive, but now you're just like rude, and I'm not here for it, you know. Oh, I got a lot of comments. Hold up. I feel like they just try to show the grief mainly by making the character a really bad friend, and there's more to grief than that. I completely agree. Like grief impacts your life more than just how you interact with other people. And I feel like in Saints and Misfits, like you were saying, they showed that in a really good way because it showed how Jenna kind of felt uncomfortable in herself outside of how she was somebody's daughter, somebody's friend. You saw that she, as a person, felt so just like weird and all over the place. If We Hunt the Flame was adapted, would you want it to be a movie or a show?
I don't like books into movies, like period. Honestly,
oh my gosh,
I don't like watching stuff. Like that's
my thing. It's crazy because they take these like really good books and they take these stories and they put it with like film writers or screenwriters that aren't as talented as the actual writers.
Yes,
and that's
true. And then they always mess up the representation somehow.
Yes,
all the time.
Everybody's like bright. Everybody.
Like what's her name? Kafado? What was that her name? The black girl in here.
She was black. Stop.
Y'all
knew there was a black character? Comment down below. Did y'all know somebody was black?
Let me see. What was her name? Let me find her name.
The one that was like she would do like fight with arrow. She was like bow and arrow. Wasn't that her? What was her?
She had the spear.
Yes, there you go.
Let me see her name.
I don't even know that, bro. This is like the third time that I've read a book that supposedly had a black character and I didn't even realize because I'm so used to not being black characters. Even when they say her skin was brown, I'm like, they don't mean my brown. Skip. They're not talking about my brown. Not this brown. Okay, not this one.
That's exactly what I'd be like. Like I'd be like, what type of brown are they talking about?
Not everybody's brown.
They talking about tan?
Caramel. Okay.
I can't find it.
I don't know. I think shows they drag it out too long.
Kifad.
That's her name, yeah. And even though she was black, I love that. The shows they would drag it out too long, and think about how the author even dragged on the book. I cannot watch it as a show. Maybe a movie if they just
Maybe a
like
movie.
half the first part. Like I could see visually that'd be really stunning though. Like
Mm-hmm.
just like in the center on this island, like that, and even with like the creatures or whatever, so, like that would be really interesting. But I wouldn't like run towards it, you know. Somebody said that they would love to read If You Have the Flame, and they said for this month I read The Weight of Our Sky, and that was so beautiful. Is that the one by Hannah Alkoff? That's also the one that
Yes.
has a gin in it, right?
No, it does not. It does not have a gin in it.
Really?
Actually, this is. I really do enjoy this. It doesn't have a gin in it, but the girl believes that she has a gin. She's dealing with mental illness. She's dealing with OCD.
Oh my
But at
god!
the time in Malaysia, it's not a time where it's 1960 something, I think, and it's not a time where, of course, where people are dealing with mental illness as mental illness. Like it's a time where niggas are like, let me take you to get some rukia, like.
Yo, wait, now that you told me that, I really want to read it because I was on Instagram Live. If you don't follow me at SincerelyTahiry, if y'all don't already. I was on Instagram Live and I was cooking because I was bored. And people were asking for book recommendations and what was I going to read for this month. And I was like, I'm going between Saints and Misfits and The Weight of Our Sky. And I was like, but I don't know how I feel about this whole tapping stuff, trying to keep this gin away. Like that threw me off. I was like, she over there tapping, saying numbers. What are we reading? During the holy month of Ramadan, I can't. And I wanted to read it so bad because it's a. I might read it for next month because it's a historical fiction. And it's based during like the Malay-Chinese War, I think.
Yeah.
So that. Oh my god. Wow, I'm glad you told me that, and that's
I
not
don't
even
remember
like
what I rated it, but I really did enjoy it.
It was definitely a spoiler. I hope it's not. There's not a lot of people watching this live, so just don't tell nobody that y'all heard that. I really want to read it now. That's like a good spoiler because I was a bit.
Wait, is that a spoiler? Wait. Rewind. What part is a spoiler that you were saying?
About her having OCD.
Oh no, it's not a spoiler.
Okay, good. Because I really, if it was really on some like there's a genocide in me, let me just do some tap. I was not.
Let me tap my feet real quick.
No, ma'am.
Yeah, no.
Someone said if they adapted the movie, it would need to have Muslim producers, directors. Yes, for sure. You always have these white people in the room messing it up. Why her scarf looks like that? Stop. You can always tell if there's a Muslim person in the directing room if her hijab look crazy. Okay? Look at Hala. Hala, sis looks crazy. I don't want to talk about it. Okay?
You watched Hala?
Every time I get up on this live, I always end up talking about this stupid. Girl, I did a whole review on it. It was 2 hours. I'll never get back.
And I was like, I'm not.
2 hours. I'll never get back. I was. Oh my god. But you could tell there's no Muslim person in the room if the hijab look crazy. Period.
I just be like, why? There's so many Muslims that you could have got to fix her hijab.
There's literally like hijab stylists.
Wear hijab.
You know, be like, hey, you wear this anyway. You wrap it yourself. Like. Oh my god. Somebody said, period. At this point, I assume no one is black until they say so. Facts. Oh yeah, if you like hearing about like The Way of Our Sky, if this sounds interesting, I would definitely recommend it for people to like look into it. I think I'm gonna read it for next month, so come back for that live show and I will tell you guys my thoughts. But I do know it's I really like first of all, Hannah Alkoff is a hijabi author, so that's great. She's also Malaysian, and we don't hear a lot about the East Asian Muslims, and people like to act like they don't exist. Literally, they are. If not, I'm mistaken, the majority of Muslims in the world are in East Asia, like Malaysia, Indonesia, more than the Arabs, than the Desis, like them. They have the most. I believe so. But we don't hear about them a lot and just how, Islam and how they practice over there. So that's really interesting.
And then also too, with traditional publishing being so full of the Muslims who do get published are usually Arab and Desi. And we don't hear anything about and saying Desi meaning Indian and
Pakistani, Bengali,
But
It's always them.
Malaysian and otherwise, we don't usually see too much
Yeah.
of that. Like even with the Black authors who do publish, usually it's self-publishing and not traditional.
Yeah. That's facts. Okay, I feel like we've been talking about we on the plane for mad long. So on to Faith and Misfits. I believe I gave it, like I said, a 3.75 or 4, something like that. Okay, here's the thing. I started reading it because I did the books as my outfits challenge, and SK Ali liked it, right? And then so she did one, and I commented on how beautiful I thought hers was. And then she told me that mine reminded her of like how Jenna would dress if she was like real. And I was like, okay, so now I gotta read it. Like now I have to read it. I can't like not read it. I'm like,
you can't do that. Like,
who is she? So I started reading it. And this is not even me trying to be funny. Like Jenna dressed very like Desi women in like 2000s, like with the jeans with the skirt on top. Very, very that. But I appreciate the sentiment. Okay, so Saints and Misses was really interesting for me. First of all, we have to talk about the fact that this is a story talking about sexual assault in the Muslim community, and it really kind of shines light on a lot of the hypocrisy that goes on in Muslim communities, in our masjids, and the way that we internalize a lot of these ideas from a very young age. You know, that your imams or your sheikhs or whatever are always right. You know, even the level of almost like prophethood or godliness that we give to some imams. And in a lot of these communities, like you see it, how it has such a negative impact because you don't know him. Like they have homeboy leading Tahiry players, and I'm like, but also the hypocrisies within us Muslims ourselves. Like there was a scene where homeboy, we're just gonna call him homeboy, but there was like a festival that they did at her masjid.
He doesn't deserve to have his name remembered anyway.
No. It was like an interfaith thing, and so Jenna's uncle is the imam of their masjid, and so she liked to do photography, so she was taking pictures of the event for his website and stuff like that. And she gets to this booth, and she's with her friend. Why do I not know how to say his? They say it as like the way they spell it is like Nua, but I know that like the Arabic pronunciation is but they like say it as like Nuha in the book. That's how I thought it was. But so she's with Nuha and they're just talking. Nuha is her friend, by the way, and they're talking to this guy that's selling like belly dancing skirts, and then homeboy comes over there bragging about how he's Hafiz the Quran and he memorized the whole thing and blah 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 blah. So the guy is like, you see Arabic, like and he's just like. And then, so Jenna's brother had to translate for him. And the guy is like, so you're bragging about reading and memorizing an entire book in a language that you don't know. And I was like, ooh.
And my thing too was it was like it's not even just that you don't know it, because that's fine, but you never went to even like memorize or look into what you were reciting, what you memorized anyway. You literally memorized the guy wrote, like.
Yeah, and I think the guy did an example of like you doing a test or your teacher teaching you something and you can just regurgitate it back to him but have no recollection, no understanding of what it was that you meant.
Exactly.
And then of course it's an accomplishment to memorize the entire Quran, but how does that impact your life if you don't know what Allah is saying?
Exactly. It's literally you're memorizing words only and you're not putting it into action. So
yes, and I
didn't really memorize anything.
Yes, and I don't know. Listen, I don't know the ruling on this. I don't know if this is actually a thing, but maybe it'll be a lot more beneficial for people to memorize it in English or whatever language that they naturally speak, as well as just.
I always learned how like the Sahaba, when they would memorize Quran, they would do it, but they wouldn't say that they actually memorized it until they actually put that ayah in action. So they would like learn ayah, and then unless they put it in action, then that was the only way that they would say that they memorized this. That's what I always learned. And I feel like that's definitely something that as a community, as a woman, that we need to put in action.
Yeah.
Because this story was way too real to me because I know way too many Hafiz of the Quran who ain't
Do you
like
even know
they're crappy people.
what does Fatiha mean? Come
Like
on. What it mean? You can't translate Fatiha, and not even saying like you have to speak Arabic. That's not the case. But this is like the beauty of the Quran is a lot of it is the different languages that we have access to read it in. And so memorizing it in Arabic is of course important, but it's not just about, oh, I memorized it. Like essentially, is it not the point of the Hafiz? One of the points is that if something happens and we don't have Quran, we have somebody or people that know, Allah's word. What you gonna tell me? Like, also, this would be a really good idea for a book. I talked about this in like another live show. I would be so interested in like a dystopian book, and there's like, or maybe something happens like Muslims in the future, and there's like no physical Quran. Kind of like what's that book? Where Michael B. Jordan was in the show, and it was a society where they burned all the books. Like books were seen as like evil. It was like a fire. Fahrenheit 351, something like 451, I think it was called. But kind of like that, but they burned the Quran and everything as well. And like I feel like that would be a really good idea. And then now, you have to learn from Hafiz. But just as an example of like, if I really didn't know or really didn't have access no more physically to the Quran, what would you be able to teach me? Like, what would you be able to tell anybody? Like you're fighting, which is like good.
They would be able to teach it in Arabic for someone else to write it down, but that would be
that's
the extent of it. Like
so you memorize what Allah said, but you don't know what He said, and that reflected in His character. You could tell he don't know nothing about his Lord, like nothing. All his actions from point A to point B were just, woo.
Or even worse, knowing something but still not acting on it.
Yes, and Allah judges us on what we know. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, that point, I really, really love that scene because I was like, "Ooh, drag him!" And the guy was Muslim. He was like, "You don't even know Arabic. Like what? Like
he wasn't even Muslim.
No, he wasn't Muslim. He was just like,
"Is it something to get dragged by a non-Muslim or your own dean?"
Oh man, I'd be like, "Ooh, we see." I mean, that'd be the moment. But also, it was also like little hints about the like internalized Islamophobia with Jenna's father, who so many of us have also experienced. People being like families being like, "Why you got that thing on your head?" And I'm like, "It's been on my head since I could walk." What are you talking about? Now because you really got he literally.
I thought you were op.
She went to the beach with her father's family, and her father was like, "You really have to wear that? Why can't you just wear? Why are you covering up your beauty?" And I was like, "That's borderline kind of really gross." And that makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable talking about why are you covering up your beauty. What? I just feel like that's kind of not a natural thing for a father to want his 15-year-old daughter to walk around in a little old bikini. In a beach, like that's something you're literally like portraying.
And it's like one thing when that's your culture already.
Yeah.
But when you're really trying to assimilate to someone else's culture in a way.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, what?
And they said that he wasn't Muslim anymore. He's just trying to live a white life.
Exactly.
So fundamentally, unless they didn't say that he like renounced Islam, so these are still the principles that your children were raised on. Like before they got divorced, her parents were divorced. Before her parents got divorced, you also were raised. You knew, this is what Islam is about, and that she chose to wear hijab.
And knowing that his children were raised exactly like that.
And then wanted to have all of these moments, and I'm like. And I think, like I said, we can all relate. I think, especially like with Black Muslims, you always have like some non-Muslim family members, or even that like cousin who don't really like practice. Like, you really go pray? What?
Like, bro, if you're not praying, I'm not gonna judge you about it. But you're not gonna come over here.
The rules.
What, you gonna bully me because I'm praying?
Crazy. So this is just super, 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 super real.
It really was.
It was just very real and authentic. I'm trying to think of other stuff. how did you feel about the niqabi in the book, and like how like her stance with Jenna? I don't know if you remember that.
I vaguely remember it.
She was just like very. I remember her being very like aggressive, but I wasn't even mad at the aggression. I felt like maybe it should have been like expressed in a different way. I just remember she was telling Jenna that she needed to fight for herself. But I think Jenna kind of touched on this a little bit. She was just saying how like you want me to fight for myself, and that's true. Like I need to be stronger, but you want me to fight for myself because of what you think it looks like to be brave, not necessarily what that would mean like for me. Yeah, because I think Niqabi was dealing with the fact that that was tea too. Her sister was in Saudi. That's where she lives with her husband, but her husband got another wife somewhere that she didn't know about, but now she can't leave Saudi. I was like, tea.
Dang, I didn't even remember that part.
Like, all the stuff in the book, like these nuances are very real. Like we
very
real. Yes. All know somebody knows somebody. Somebody got a second wife somewhere. This is like
this is stuff that we go through on the daily.
Yes, and this is what's important. Even though it's crazy, like we need to see like more representation in totality of what like the Muslim experience is for a lot of people. And I didn't even know that somebody like what's her name? Is she Pakistani or Indian? Ask Ali. I think she's one of those. She might be Indian.
No, I'm not even gonna say I think.
I don't even know. But if you guys know, please comment because I don't remember. But I don't even know certain things that in Desi community they experience as well as in Black Muslim communities. Like that was.
And I think that's something that I also really like, is that a lot of times I read other Muslims books and like non-Black Muslims books, and I don't feel as connected with their Muslim experience.
You would never.
With this, it's like
I'd be like,
well, I'd be like, okay, that might be what you experience, but I ain't. But with this, it felt like an experience where even though I'm not Arab or Desi, because she was both.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that's another thing. The mixed representation, really good.
It was like I really connected to the experience of being Muslim.
Yeah. That's a common thing, mostly because kids are pressured by their parents to go to Quran classes and memorize it, but naturally we won't be pulled to something like that. We're forced to. It's sad. It causes a rift for the relationship of a person and Allah. That's true. Yeah. Like we don't really encourage people to have like authentic relationships with Allah and like practicing. Like a lot of it is and of course, you know, when your kids are like young, you understand that. But I think it's the same thing with just like parenting and kind of like disciplining. It can't just always be like do this. It's like let me at least explain or try to, you know, let you understand why we're doing X, Y, and Z. So like you can further and make your own relationship and your own connection with Allah, because just like go pray, or just wear this hijab, bro. As soon as they're not in your sight, what do you think happen? And they take Islam as a means of like, oh, this is what my parents want, and especially a lot of teenagers are naturally rebellious. If you are associating like Islam with you as a parent rather than Islam with Allah, you're gonna get a very different relationship with your child. You're gonna be like, let me do X, Y, and Z because I'm trying to spite my dad. I'm trying to make myself upset. She's trying to tell me how to live my life. I don't want to do it. Rather than the fact that Islam comes from Allah and your parents are just trying to facilitate that like into your life. And you can see that in people. You can tell people that they be like, I'm Muslim, but don't have no like relationship with Allah. And that's something that I hate in all of these Muslim stories. And I said this about Internment, a book that I cannot stand. Did you read it yet?
I still have not read Internment, and I'm not like I was gonna read it for the blog, but simply because I was so against the whole idea of it from the get-go. It's like I really have to get myself into that mind frame to try to read it without these feelings that I already have. Yeah. If that makes sense. Like, so I can read it and judge it accordingly.
You just have to be careful sometimes. And there's certain books certain authors I don't read from because their writing as Muslims is very triggering for me and can be somewhat traumatic because their experiences are such like, oh, like I hate Islam and Muslim this, and reading that and consuming so much media like that is very taxing on your brain. And like, I don't want to feel like I'm reading this book and I feel like there's something wrong with me. Like she feels so strongly that about anti-Islam, and then I'm just like, well, is there something wrong with me because like I love my deen? You know what I'm saying?
It's so I don't even know what the word I'm looking for, but exactly what you're saying, because, and it's so taxing because of the fact where you're like, bro, oh, I finally see some Muslim representation, or I finally see a Muslim author or whatever, and come to find out their whole story is about the struggle of wanting to get away from their parents and wanting to get away from anything remotely Islamic.
And it's just like, okay, great. Like, we're just gonna keep doing this. Like, it's just very annoying.
And traditional publishers seem to love those authors and love those
They
books.
love these narratives.
Like,
I don't understand.
Which is also why SPLing is such a refreshing author.
Yes, always. Yes. That's exactly it. I actually am in the middle of editing a Get Ready With Me that I filmed like a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions was, how did I feel about the book Written in the Stars by Aisha Saeed? And she's an author that's on my don't read list.
Oh, like, she is?
All her books be about, oh, my parents are making me go to Pakistan and marry somebody. I'm running away. I hate them all. Like, how dare they? I don't have my freedom. All the books. And I recently saw a girl that I follow on Instagram, a Muslim bookstagrammer, and she read one of her books for the Ramadan readathon, and she was like really upset about how negative the book was. And she's like, that really like, you know, it really just like affected me because I didn't.
What's bookstagrammer's name? I want to follow her so I can see it.
I was like, oh my God, wait, let me find. I'm gonna find this. But that was definitely one example, and I was just like, I don't read her work. And that's very intentional for me because you have to also protect like your sanity and your mental health. I'm gonna find this. We're gonna find it. I think it's on the Ramadan readathon. I think I think they commented on her thing.
Let me see.
I'm gonna find her. I'm gonna find her later. I'm gonna send it to you. But yeah, that was just one experience that I saw, and you just kind of have to be really strict about what we consume. Yeah. And I was talking this in my last live show. Like, America likes to put off this idea that us as consumers are like powerless, and we just have to see X, Y, and Z. You have a lot of power, a lot of say. Like, there's authors, I will not buy your book. Like, that book, Yes So Maybe So by Aisha Saeed and Becky Number Tower, I'm not buying it. I'm not reading it. I'm not reading Samira Ahmed book. You're not about to catch.
Wait, who was that you said you weren't going to read?
Samira Ahmed, the one I wrote Internment. I ain't reading none of her books. You're not about to catch. Okay, I have to read Internment for August, only because the challenge for August is to read a book that has bad Muslim representation. But
we can find a couple.
Yeah.
Have you read Of Every Large Expansive Sea?
No, everybody keeps telling me to read that. I don't know. I think I'm triggered to read it. I
started reading it because I didn't like Tahira Mafi's other books.
Yeah, the Shadowy series was.
Yeah, I didn't. It wasn't for me. And I was kind of confused about how so many people liked it. And I'm not gonna. I feel like that sounds horrible to say, and I don't mean to say it in a way where it's like I'm trying to comfort someone's like.
No, but I think here's something I've noticed while being in like the online bookish community. White booktubers or white bookstagrammers, whatever, are allowed to talk about how much a book is trash, and they can just drag it. A lot of them, their whole channels are them dragging books. But God forbid a person of color being like, I didn't like the representation in this book, canceled. So, I just want to tell people, if you don't like it, you don't like the book. Now, I'm not dragging somebody as an author, but as creatives, you know that when you put your work out, it's going to be critiqued.
Yeah.
So
with that being said, didn't like Shatter Me. I didn't even get halfway through the first book really before I was like, what the?
My mom bought me the first 3 for Eve, and I had to finish it because every time she saw me, she was like, "You read it?" And I was like,
"Yeah." Oh man. So I got Of Every Large Expansive Sea, and the whole 9/11 thing too is very regurgitated. And so many of these books with Muslim representation? Like everything is,
I thought we went like I thought we were past that stage. Like I understand this was about this is really about Tahir Masi's life, but I thought we were past the 9/11 book. You know, I thought that was like 2010s. I thought we were past that.
Like I'm over the whole Muslims and 9/11 representation all the time in these books as well. Like, and it's just like, especially knowing how Muslims were treated then, like how we were treated and the things so many of us went through, the things so many of our
like why do we still have to like I hear the reviews for that book and it's like the story of like fighting discrimination and bigotry is so inspiring, but I'm just like why do we
do we have to continue to be inspired by our pain?
Yes. What
I want Muslim representation that's
I don't understand. Like y'all, what is it about it that's so intriguing for y'all? Like white people love seeing people of color fighting oppression. So they could be like, "Good job, it's you, you," and it being like, "Wow, I'm so proud of your strength." You know, you and your mother and your brother and your cousins out here calling Muslims all types of stuff. Okay, but then now it's like it's so revolutionary to what exists. Like a lot of Muslim stories are made for Islamophobic consumption to make them feel better about what they believe Islam is about. And I think they use a lot of Muslim authors' genuine trauma and probably internal conflicts with Islam. They take their stories and they make it into something else. And I talked about this in my Hala video. Like, living on the thumbnail, I was like, Hala needs a therapist. Like, homegirl was struggling internally under the pressure of living up to this idea of her fit for her family. She found out her father was having an affair on the side. She was so crazy. She randomly like slept with a guy that she was talking to, and then she tried to sleep with her teacher. Like she needs
her teacher.
Yes, like she would just like run out into the street and throw her hijab. She would like have panic attacks. She has trauma.
Sis, you need a therapist.
Yes, not that Islam is the problem. She needs to talk to somebody. And I feel like they take these stories, and even I feel like a little bit, I hear with A Very Large Expanse of Sea, a lot of these stories are Muslims' genuine experience, right? And nobody can take that away from them. But the fact that you can't now tell me that there's the scales are even. As much as we see negative representation, we don't see as much positive representation. That's my thing. We all practice differently, and like that's onto you is yours. That's fine. You know, may Allah heal you. However, you do not speak for us as a collective.
Yes.
And if all of your positive feedback comes from white people, was the book really good? Was it really? What do they know about the Muslim experience, about Muslim representation? I'm sorry. There's so many comments. I'm gonna try to read this off, y'all. I'm sorry. This stuff is very frustrating. Somebody said, "Do you mind when people ask you questions when you're out and about?" I'm assuming about being Muslim. Out and about. Nobody's really going outside, so let's just say like online. But I think there's just a certain way that you go about asking stuff. For one, let me just preface that Google, alhamdulillah, is free. Okay, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Free. $3.99.
My thing is, if you're gonna ask me a question, I need it to be a question that some thought has gone into. Because contrary to popular belief, like your teacher told you in first grade, there are stupid questions. Yeah. So you asking me, wait, you don't break your fast the whole month? You fast the whole time and don't eat anything? I'm not trying to be rude. I just want to ask you this question. No, the question is rude because you didn't think about it before you asked. If I was fasting for a whole month, do you think I would still be alive?
Eating from food and drink for 30 days.
Like, you can't think I'm doing that?
Like what? There's billions of Muslims out here. We're not doing that. So,
like literally a Google search.
Yeah, or maybe like I would appreciate the comments of somebody being like, I was looking into X, Y, and Z, and I wasn't really clear on what they were talking about. Can you expand upon this? I'm like,
exactly.
I think it's just how you form your questions and understand that Muslim people and just marginalized people of color are not entitled to tell you anything realistically. And I know that sounds crazy for a lot of people, but we have to protect ourselves, and it's very taxing to explain your existence to somebody.
I'm just about to say that. And then also being Black women as well. I think Black women are expected a lot of times to be teachers. Like, we're expected to educate people on anything. All the time, we're fighting to teach this person this, to teach this person that. When niggas don't understand on social media, we're over here, well, actually, X, Y, and Z. And this is unpaid work.
Yeah, it
takes a lot of energy and emotion. Yes, it's labor.
A lot.
It's labor.
Arguing with like bigots on the internet. Worse than the bigots, trying to explain to your own people the issues in your communities. It's like, y'all Allah, I'm gonna just let y'all drown. It's fine. You know, halas, I'm good. It's a lot. So just please be mindful when you're approaching Muslim people or certain people about their life and their experiences. If somebody is really not trying to share, please just put their face and just step off. But like Maryam was saying, like, do your own research. There are a lot of Muslim outlets that you can find good information, hence like the existence of the Iqra Trials. I'm only co-hosting with other Muslim book lovers so that we can kind of get a control on these narratives, and even like the Ramadan readathon. And there's just so many Muslim creators, or if you're looking for like Black creators that will willingly explain certain things to you in a medium that fits them. For example, if they decide to make a YouTube video about something, like if you have questions about Muslim representation, I have a whole video about Muslim representation, you know? So in that way, that's like the proper lane to talk about these things, because, you know, I decided to open up the discussion rather than you being like unwarranted, you know, asking random stuff.
Do you shower in that? Like, you know, like...
Can we talk about why so many books with Muslim characters always have to have a white love interest? Because a lot of these Muslim communities, and I said this in my Muslim representation video, this is very much an Autumn and Daisy thing. I'm just going to keep it a stack. They are in love with whiteness, and they still see whiteness as a means to success. So in all their stories, they have to have their Arab girl or Desi girl with a white guy. They are still trying to assimilate. Like, let's talk about it. In a way that Black people can never assimilate into white society. They are still trying to assimilate to the point where they will throw away their Islam to be white. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. That's why. If you notice, I ain't never read there's not a lot of books that are being published by Black Muslim authors that are getting a lot of attention. But I've never read or even heard of a book by a Black Muslim author with a white guy, much less a white guy that's not Muslim. I've never seen it. Never seen
it. And notice too, where it's like, it's not just a not Muslim thing, exactly like you said. It's not just a not Muslim thing, because it's not a Black non-Muslim. It's not a Asian non-Muslim. It's not a whatever non-Muslim. It's always a white non.
That's an agenda. And that comes from internalized self-hatred and white supremacy. That's an agenda. That's not an accident. And honestly, maybe if we read a lot of these manuscripts, they probably didn't even have a white love interest. I'm just saying. Who knows what happens when it gets to the publishing room? I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Because I'm like, yeah, the authors that be writing this, your parents would not let you marry no white guy. Stop it. Woo.
I mean,
never mind. Nope.
Because then if we're talking about white people who are, for instance, Bosnian and stuff like that, white people who are Muslim already, or even white Muslim converts or reverts in America, or even if their family has been white, and Muslim for a while in the US. Yeah. And that's something else where it's like, okay, if you're at least gonna do like a white person, can you just do like a Muslim white person?
Like, they exist, but they also fetishize Muslim reverts, white Muslims anyway. So
they do.
OD. Oh my gosh. I find it strange that this is over an hour. Child, we got to. I find it strange that I didn't like any of the books with being Muslim at the forefront, and like the ones that are historical with being Muslim a part of them. Yeah, I don't like. That's why I started the Iqra Trials. I didn't like none of these books. So as much as this is a challenge for y'all, this is a challenge for me to find books.
You got a dinosaur back there?
You showing off for quarantine, sir? He's like, the streets is empty. Let me do some tricks. Sure. But yeah, as much as this is a challenge for y'all, it's a challenge for me, because I'm really like, even like the next challenge with historical fiction, I'm really trying to find me some books based off of like whether an Islamic world or like an Islamic world. And it's like Islamic history as a historical fiction novel. Like, I'm really trying to like challenge myself, because I want to see where these books are. And if we can't find a lot of these books, that's a problem. We need to then look for authors that are writing the books that we're trying to see and uplift them, and also critique the authors and publishers about what they're writing. Like, sure, creators have a responsibility to themselves to be authentic in their work. But to a certain extent, if we paying the bills, you also have some sort of responsibility to your supporters, I feel like. Loving Dean and certain Desi communities is hard, not because they don't love Allah or Islam, but because family and community are so bent on making a woman's life difficult by not giving them choices. A lot of the problem is with the education system or lack of proper Islamic education for women. That is correct. I agree. Most authors I read were always against being Muslim. Muslim. Am I okay? Muslim. Okay. I read this one called Aisha at Last is really good. I've heard. Haven't read it yet, but I will read it eventually. We're only like what? We're only now 5 months into the year, so there's 7 more challenges. I'm gonna find an excuse to read some of these books.
Aisha at Last.
Yeah, it's a modern Pride and Prejudice retelling, but it's a Muslim
drama. I did read Aisha at Last, I believe.
I love how you're so confused. I'm like, I thought you read it. My first Muslim representation book was a Samira Ahmed book, and I was so disappointed. I'm so sorry. Please go read some S.K. Ali to make you feel better. I'm so sorry. I know a lot of people, Internment was their first book that they read by a non-Muslim author. By a Muslim author.
Are you serious? No,
yes, and
that was the worst book to start with.
I've heard mad non-Muslims talk about how they didn't like Internment either. Like,
really?
Yes. They were like, first of all, the writing was like not all that. But even like the storyline was very just like, they were like, I forgot who she was, but she follows me on Instagram, and she saw that she watched one of my videos talking about I didn't like Internment, and she mentioned how she thought that she also didn't like it, but she thought that maybe that was because she wasn't like Muslim and didn't understand things. And I was like, yeah, no, it was just bad.
Yeah.
But the Muslim community, the Muslim online community, the book community, we stand it so hard because we don't have Muslim representation.
I'm not standing something just because there's
you being Muslim is not good enough. You being Muslim is not good enough. Okay, no. The girl was Muslim, but she didn't want to practice. Yo, she was literally in a concentration camp and didn't want to make dua. Like, you don't got nothing to talk to Allah about?
Wait, huh? Excuse me, just run that back.
She was a whole concentration, whatever, internment camp. She didn't make dua. She didn't pray not once. I'm like, even atheists, if they think their life is at stake, it's like, yo, God, I don't know if you're there or not, but
help me out if you are.
Yeah, and that speaks to the lack of a disconnect between her and her faith. You don't got nothing to. Yo, there was even a Quran group in the internment camp, and she would just be like, "Wow, I really admire their strength and their courage during this time." I was like,
"There's not like 2 items you want to read? Just 2?
I don't know, crazy." That was so crazy for me.
So what was the plot of internment if there was no plot?
What was the plot? She was releasing. Okay, she was in the internment camp. Her Jewish boy. First of all, she got into the internment camp basically because of her Jewish boyfriend. Because it was during curfew, and she snuck out. That's how the book starts. She sneaks out in the middle of the night to go see him, to go make out with him, and then they break curfew. By the time she gets back home, her and her family gotta go. So I'm pretty sure that's how it starts, right? So her boyfriend's on the outside, and she's like writing
you could just put
stories. Right.
Just
she writes correct. She writes like these excerpts about what's going on in the internment camps and snuggles. What's the word? Smuggle. There we go. Smuggles it to her boyfriend, and he sends them to like to the news, and they publish it because they're saying that these internment camps are, they're just like rehabilitation centers. You know how white people like to do stuff like that. It's been words. And so he was just talking about the atrocities. They weren't really atrocities. No, she said it was an internment camp, not a concentration camp. I think she was scared to really go there. But she was just talking about how like people would disappear. They weren't getting like accurate like halal food and like stuff like that. And then so through that, towards the end of the book, you have protesters around these internment camps, and the goal is to eventually get it shut down. Like that was the point. But I just feel like she was Muslim to say she was Muslim. Like it was Muslim as like a selling point. It was like like put the Muslims in internment camps, and then she's gonna fight her way out. But Islam is not a culture; it is a religion. It is a spiritual. It's who you are spiritually. As a Black woman, as soon as I critique something, people call me aggressive and praise their white favorites for speaking the truth. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Some white person on Twitter the other day told me I had to watch When They See Us because it's an important issue. I don't need to watch it. I'm living it.
That's
ooh.
I too have not watched When They See Us simply because of the trigger.
That's traumatizing, bro. Like y'all don't understand.
Just like she said, we're living this. Like our family members are living this. Like
and then
this
us,
is what we're dealing
being
with
on
forever.
The East Coast, like us being on the East Coast and like being like born in the 90s or whatever, we know the story of the Central Park Five. That's not news to nobody. Like, especially because let's go, one of them was Muslim. Like that's not news to nobody. Like we know these stories. It was so hard to watch. It took me weeks to really like watch it, especially that last episode, bro. Like that stuff is really taxing. And honestly, stuff like that is not necessarily made for us. It's made for y'all white people. You watch it. Y'all watch the slave movies, okay? Y'all watch that. You watch it. That's not for me. I know what it's about. Like,
trust,
bro.
I know. Like it's deeply embedded in my DNA. I know. Like,
yeah,
the trauma is within me. I know.
Somebody said, what's a fundie? And then somebody else said a fundamental is basically somebody who practices to an extreme degree and forces their beliefs on others. Interesting. Somebody else said, as someone who grew up in a fundamentalist, oppressive Muslim family and had serious thoughts about leaving Islam, I feel like media representation of these struggles are usually reckless. Yes, because there are a lot of people that, oh my God, Sajid is here. Wow, look at Sajid's here and Nadir is here. We were just yelling.
Wait, what?
Nadir is here. Oh my God, we were just going off. Hi, y'all. I just scrolled down. I'm like, oh, look at all my friends. All these people I know. Hello.
Wait, what is Samara's new book?
Is that Mad, Bad, and Dangerous? Something.
I saw the title only, and I was just like, I'm not. Whatever. Let me see.
The cover was cute, and even though Sajid read it and still probably can't tell me what it's about, I'm assuming because the book was on. Like, read the description.
Mad, Bad, and Dangerous to Know.
The cover is cute. I like the cover.
Let me look at the synopsis.
Nadir said we're messy. I'm trying to be like you, sis. Trying to be like you. Okay, learn from the best. Oh my God, let me read these comments. Sajid said, I think a lot of Muslims are also conscious of their white audiences, so they needed Jeremy in the story to make it more palatable to the Jeremys reading the book. Talk about it, okay?
What was that?
Okay.
It sounded like
I think a lot of Muslims are conscious of their white audiences, so they need a Jeremy in the story to make it more palatable to the Jeremys reading the book. That's it.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember if I did, but I was like really annoyed when I saw that Jenna liked the white dude, and then how it spun where it was like he got booted out eventually. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's better than him being like, but I was still annoyed that it was just like, I was still annoyed, but I was like, honestly, like, Jenna, because of her youngness, because of her youth.
Wasn't his name Jeremy?
I think his name was Jeremy, actually.
Sajid, what's his name? Jeremy? Because is that why you brought it up? Because that's...
She made some really annoying decisions, but I also like that the decisions were fit for her age.
Yes, I think, okay, listen, I was like, we can't really like judge the hell out of Jenna because we all, and don't lie, y'all don't have to tell me, but Allah knows, okay? Y'all know there's been certain times where the hijab slipped back a little bit, okay? Or maybe you was wearing something that was a little bit okay because you know somebody was walking by was gonna see you. Don't lie.
No judge.
You don't gotta tell me.
Not me.
You don't gotta tell me. Okay, but Allah knows. Y'all know. Stop it. Certain times you be like, let me just.
Did she like fully take off in gym class?
So her gym class is all girls, and they have their own separate gym gym room. So he was in there as like a PE teacher assistant towards the end, and she was like doing gym, and then she looked, and he was there, and her friend was like, oh, we gotta talk about her friend. Her friend was like, hey girl, like look, he's right there, like look. She's like, oh, let me go put on my skirt. Her friend was like, why would you do that? Don't you like him? Like, I told him to come and be a teacher's assistant for this class, and then she just like jogs, and then she sees him. I was like, come on, we all did it. Like, that's
that
the
was
thing.
definitely fit. That was definitely like fit for a 15-year-old to do. Like
Yeah,
that
like,
fits in line with a 15-year-old's actions.
yeah. And then Allah has a way of humbling you. You be like, oh God. Because then when she turned around, she went to go say hi to him. Homeboy was there. Mr. Sexual assault guy was there in the gym too. And he was like, and then he went to go tell everybody, oh, like, look at what these Muslim girls are doing. Nadir said, made this booty poke.
Why is she here?
I'm tired. Y'all, this
Something
is
that,
in
just
the
like you were
littest.
saying how you got frustrated with her for not being quote unquote strong. I definitely got frustrated with her too for not, I guess, being not being more aggressive with her revenge. And I guess that's because I'm very
That's because we black. That's the thing. We black. That's what I realized. I said, listen, yo, I was like, I'm too black for this. Because I would have been like, we would have. And she got an older brother. She got an older brother, her uncles, her father. What's up? After Tahiry, you get jumped. Stop it. You play too much. Stop
but then
it.
also knowing too from experience how hard that is to talk about.
Yes.
How hard that is to and especially coming from communities like this, from Muslim communities where niggas are always judging the woman.
Yeah.
And even though that has nothing to do with Islam or how the Sunnah handles it, like, coming from these types of misogynistic communities, where we know that it's not going to be something that gets handled the way it should be handled.
Yeah, it's not. People are going to take it very lightly, and their first course of action is going to be to criticize the women.
Exactly.
And even the circumstance about, like, trigger warning for anybody that's been through sexual assault. This it's not too graphic, but just wanted to put out that trigger warning. But the way that it happened was that she was literally like at her friend's house for something. It was like I think her friend's brother like finished Quran or something like that, or something like that, and they were having a family gathering. And so at one point she was like watching TV in the basement, and they were all down there. And then so the sister went upstairs to go do something, and I think Jenna was like on her way to go upstairs or something like that. And I guess she went to finish the show, and then homeboy comes downstairs. And so you really think about these situations. It's not a girl seeking out some guy, or why are you alone with a guy in the first place. A lot of us have, when we talk about iftars, when we talk about like even weddings and engagements and other stuff that happens in the Muslim community, a lot of us are around each other, and it's guys and girls there. And for people that are annoying, like, there are definitely times where it's allowed to be guys and girls in the same room. Stop it. Yeah, because people love to be mad about something. But you know, that's the story. That's how it happened, and that's something that was the scariest part. It could be a reality, and is a reality for a lot of Muslim girls. Mm-hmm. That's where a lot of these moments happen. And if it's not some boy from the masjid, unfortunately, it's some family members, some extended family members. Like, this is what. And the book, what's the book? Unashamed Musings of a Fat Black Muslim by Leah Vernon. You would love it. Absolutely love it.
I keep seeing it on Zara's page. I haven't read it yet. I need to get it.
It's so good. Like, you would love it because she's black. She's from Detroit. She curses. Like, she's very like, love it. But she talks about how in her masjid there was a story about this girl. She was like 16, and they found her in the basement, and she had like shot herself in the head.
In the masjid.
And so,
oh man. Oh.
And then so when they went to, like, they were talking about it in the community, people were like, what happened? What her best friend finally came forward and said that she had been sexually assaulted by members in her family, both male and female, since a young age. And they were high members of the community in the masjid. And so things like that, these are not like dramatizations of stuff. Like, this is real. And even though in Saints and Misfits, Jenna was not sexually assaulted, that experience she was sexually assaulted. She wasn't raped. Yeah. But that experience was still traumatic for her. And so, yeah, the story is just really, 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 really important. I love that aspect of it because I think actually, like we were saying about this book, she just has a way of writing where it's like, this is so real. Mm-hmm. It's something that comes from somebody being so authentically Muslim, that Muslim readers can, good or bad, can see and relate to.
Yes.
Like these are things that I could put myself in Jenna's shoes and be walking a very similar life, you know?
Exactly.
And I love that. I think it's important to read that. Also, like we were saying, it was a little the language is a little like juvenile, and maybe that's because we're old.
I
But
feel like it was juvenile in a way, but when I sat back and thought about it, it fit the character and it fit the age. Which after I thought about it, I was like, okay, that makes sense. And
like,
in that aspect, I have to like give it its props. Like
it was because us, like we are the problem, not the book. But the book was like timely, it was important, it was appropriate. Like I would recommend this for like my sister or girls like 14, 15 in that age to like read that. This is such a cute live show. I've never been on the live show for so long. Oh my god. Yes, it usually stops for like an hour. And then look at all the comments. Oh, I love y'all. This makes me feel so good. Everybody's just sitting at home, not doing anything, and alhamdulillah, we didn't miss any prayers. Asr didn't come in yet. We don't got to make it hard. This is beautiful. Oh my gosh. Okay. Somebody said like that white dude in Black Panther. That man was useless. Somebody else said, why was he even there?
He was supposed to be there. Like, why are you here?
Oh my god.
When he came in. Like,
somebody's asking for good books written by Muslim authors. You guys are giving her amazing recommendations. Yes, for All American Muslim Girl. Did you read it?
I did not. Did you?
I didn't want to talk to you. This is ridiculous.
Wait, so it
blood and bone. Yo, I'm not even gonna like. It was like probably like the best up until this moment. Like, I feel like representation for Muslim stories. That's a lot. Like, really? I know it's a lot. I don't know if it would, but those are reasons very specific, like to me. But the way I actually started reading All American Muslim Girl was very funny. My friend Jessie from the channel Bow Ties and Books, they had gotten a email from publishers that they work with, and the publisher sent them like some books. They're like, oh, pick a book that you want to request for this month. And so when they saw the list, they saw the book All American Muslim Girl, and the author, Nadine Jolie Courtney, is very like a white girl, blonde hair, strawberry blonde hair, all American girl. Right? Yes. So my friend was like, is this another one of those stories about Muslim people, written by white? Yes.
That was my initial thought. So when I had looked it up and realized that she was Muslim, and
yes,
I was like,
how I started.
Okay, sis, I see
my friend literally sent, they asked me for my contact info and sent it to the publishers, and I think Sajid as well got, Jessie contacted them and asked for their contact info and sent it to the publisher. So the publisher then sent us some books. Then also, Nadine Jolie Courtney actually watched my video on Muslim representation and sent me a finished copy of All American Muslim Girl as well. So I super fangirl. But it was really good because the girl, her family is very not practicing. Like her name is like Aliyah Ibrahim, and they changed it to Ali Abraham. Literally, like that. Yes. So she's like in high school now. She's like moved around a lot for her dad's job. He's a professor, but now he has tenure. So they're like they're in Georgia, and she's very like white passing. She literally has strong like strawberry blonde hair, like I think like blue green eyes, something like that. And I think my AirPod's about to die. It's okay, y'all can still hear me when it dies. But she starts going to the school and like she sees the MSA, and I think Ramadan is also coming up. So then she just starts to realize like, why don't I really practice? She had this encounter on the plane over to Georgia, and her dad was on the phone with his mother before the plane took off. Sound like I'm ummi, like mashallah, alhamdulillah, okay, I'll see you when we get there. And white guy sitting next to them had a fit on the plane, called the flight attendant over, and so that incident sparked her trying to be like, well, why is this like we are Muslim but like not Muslim, at the same time. So she's just like, why is that? Like her father is very adamant about them still identifying as Muslim, but like don't talk about it. And like he drinks and like whatever, like so it's her story of like finding faith. And so she joins a Muslim women study group, which is diverse. One of the characters' name is Tahira. I'm pretty sure she's a Black character. And they talk about so many issues. They talk about, first of all, like you see her learning about, like she learns how to pray. she didn't even know to say like Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam after you say like nothing. She didn't know anything about like du'as, like how to make wudu, like nothing, pretty much. So she starts from scratch. And it's just a really beautiful story about her learning to like gain faith. And also she does have a boyfriend throughout the book, and he is a white girl, but she's white and Syrian. He is a white guy, and he's not Muslim, but as I said, she's growing like Islamically. So even then she has to get to a point in the book where she's kind of discussing what this will mean for her relationship. And it's just super like realistic. I love the book because when I was reading it, I had moments where like she was like starting to read Quran. And one of the things was she wanted to learn Arabic because she's half Circassian and half Syrian, and she never knew Arabic. And so she wants to learn Arabic. So she's reading Quran, and moments like that was so beautiful for me because I'd be like, wait, when's the last time like I read Quran? Or like you would read of the book and she's like, oh, like she got new hijabs or a new prayer garment that her mom had to sneak to her because her father was like not with it at all. Yes, she was like praying in secret.
I always feel so bad for Muslim children who want to start practicing more, and their families who are also Muslim don't want them to.
Yes, so it was just so beautiful. Like when she was praying, I was like, dang, I need to make salat. Like it was just stuff like that. It was just stuff like that. Even her like going through Ramadan for the first time. Her parents actually then I think like started fasting with her because she was just by herself. She never fasted growing up. Like literally, basically, she's a revert but unofficially, you know. And I really love that because I personally feel like every person, born Muslim or not, has to get to a point where they choose Allah.
Of course.
Specifically, us as people that are born Muslim, like just because that's how you were born, that has nothing to do with how you practice. Exactly. Or how Allah is in your life. So I love the story. It like made me cry. I was like sappy all over the place.
Aww.
It was so beautiful. Yeah, Love from A to Z is amazing.
Love from A to Z is so cute.
Yeah. If you're okay with Muslim stories where the characters are either not religious or where they are, but the story doesn't focus on religion, I'd recommend The Henna Wars. You read The Henna Wars, Sajid? Did you finish it? Oh, I think you did. I heard about that. What else? All American Muslim Girls on My Nightstand. Yes, Light at the Bottom of the World was a book that Sajid was reading when they were on my live show. The first one. It's by a Muslim author, and the whole world is like London is kind of submerged underwater.
Is the author London Shah?
Yes.
Yes, I've heard of it, but I haven't really.
I want to read it. It sounded so interesting. I just never got to it. Also, The Lines We Cross by Rhonda Abdel Fattah. I used to read her books when I was like in middle school. Didn't everybody? I'm like does my head look big in this? I feel like it's like every Muslim parent.
It was. Does My Head Look Big in This? I think that was the first book that I ever read with any Muslim representation, and I picked it up and I hated it. And I know everyone else was like, "Oh my god, this is like." I remember some girl was like, "Hey, if you're looking for Muslim books, read that." And I was like, "Get the hell out of my face."
I was crying. So I just said, imagine a white Muslim author had to come and save the day. That's the real plot twist. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Oh, this is so fun. Oh wait, let me. Are you guys down for me to like continue? Like, does anybody have anywhere to go? 'Cause
4:50ish, I think it's a lot for me. So
yeah,
I have to go. Okay,
so
unfortunately, so.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about The Bird King. Because I'm like halfway through. So G. Willow Wilson is a white revert, and she wrote a bunch of like other books. The Miss Marvel series, like little Muslim girl. She doesn't wear hijab, but like the little Muslim girl comic. She wrote that. And she's also a hijabi. So I picked up this book because I'm a historical fiction like I love historical fiction. That's like my thing. And I've also watched like a lot of historical fiction shows. And the premise of the book was something like a time where the East and the West weren't so separate. And like that was just like really cute for me because I don't know, it was just cute. And I like the Muslim influences, especially like in Spain or also like in Turkey, you know, like the Hagia Sophia mosque. So stuff like that was just really interesting for me. But also the fact that these characters like Fatima and Hassan, they're both Muslim. Furthermore, Fatima, she not really, only because like she was born literally in the Sultan's palace and she was raised like groomed to be a concubine. So she kind of has that mentality about Islam. Like she just believes that, people are like terrible people, and if this is what you believe, you practice. She's very like leave me alone about it type of thing. And then Hassan, he is. I'm pretty sure he's gay. Yeah, he's gay. He's gay. Hassan is gay. I have to think about it. He's gay. But it was so interesting reading about that because I feel like I like the point where in the book they continuously talk about how Hassan is the more spiritual person.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, they're chasing him because they think he's a sorcerer. And he has this moment where they kind of catch up. The people chasing him catch up to him, and he's like, yes, like I, am attracted to men. Like yes, like sometimes I drink and I probably shouldn't. But he was like, if I'm gonna tell you anything, I definitely pray more than you do. And he was talking to his captors, and then he was like, and what I do know that above anything else is the belief in God and the oneness in that, and how that's something that I believe in more than I even believe in my own existence.
Yeah.
And that was just so beautiful for me because I feel like so many people, we think about like just like LGBTQ Muslims and how there's somehow a way that you can't be both. You know what I'm saying? As if like their whole Muslim identity is a race because they are attracted to X, Y, and Z. And then also the fact that like even Islamically, like isn't the sin the fornication that being like caught in a witness is not even the feeling. Like that's not even
exactly.
That's not even the sin. So I like the fact that when I was reading it, you see somebody who like Allah tests us with so many things, and we're all born with certain struggles that we have to go through throughout our life. But the important thing was like the belief and holding on like firmly to your belief in Allah.
Yes.
That was just really amazing to me because we don't see that a lot. Unfortunately, a lot of like LGBTQ people that were born in Muslim households are no longer Muslim, or they no longer practice. And for me, I think the utmost important thing, no matter whatever, if I had a child like would say who they are, whatever, the most important thing is that you have a relationship with Allah. Like
that is the thing of utmost important. And that like, you don't let anyone else get in the way of that relationship.
Yes, that
no matter
so
what.
Important.
Because at the end of the day, we're still all sinners. We're all sinners. Like no matter what it is that we're gonna do, we're all gonna sin. Yeah, that's something that Allah likes about us, that we repent or that we keep on trying or whatever the case may be. But as long as we have that relationship with Allah, then
and then every time you see like Hassan, like, and when they first introduced him, she kind of, I guess Fatima, she has like, because he makes these maps and he has like these little corners in like the palace or whatever, he has like secret rooms or like columns or hallways that she can get to his room because she doesn't really trust anybody, and she's a concubine, she doesn't really trust like the men. So he creates these like secret passageways for her to like get to his room if they want to like hang out or whatever. And when we first get introduced to him, he's praying. And then a couple of minutes later, she mentions the fact that the reason she feels so comfortable with him is also because he don't like women. So she asked somebody who is, like a concubine, she doesn't feel comfortable around a lot of men. But I just love that. I love that, like we find him praying. Like that's usually, like that's the first time we're introduced to him. Also, there is a jinn in the book. I didn't really want to read it. You know what's another thing why I really don't like reading these books that have jinns in them? Because they give these jinns amazing personalities, and I don't like it. I don't like it. It made me like,
bro, I know that they have their own world and their own personalities in their own world, but
wait.
I don't like.
This is not a jinn sympathizing moment. I do not know what I'm thinking. This, I got sympathy, nada.
Like, why is this nigga handsome? First of all, first of all, let's talk about it. Why is he handsome?
Be the cutest guy in the book, y'all. Why?
Like, why does he have a good personality?
Why is he funny?
Does he have depth? Like, why is he cooler than the rest of the characters?
Why is he so nuanced?
Like, come on now.
I hate it.
Edges and everything, like.
Oh my god! That's why I hate it. I hate reading books with jinns. Like they really make them the best character in the book.
Have you read dang, what is the name of it? A City of Brass.
No, but I have it. I'm probably gonna read it for, I forgot what the challenge is, when the month is, but read a book by an author of a different ethnicity than you. I'm probably gonna read it for that.
I was livid because that book, I really enjoyed it. Like, I really enjoyed it. Oh, we forgot to mention the House of Faith that wears niqab. which is
beautiful.
Props in this
And
traditional
and she
world.
talks about like on her Instagram about the fact that a lot of like there's like book events and conventions, like signings and stuff, and people how they treat her, which is so unfortunate. So that's the main reason why I actually made this challenge literally to support Hafsa because I haven't seen an niqabi author in somewhat mainstream of like the publishing industry. So that's really important. And there's also other niqabi
Naima B.
authors.
Roberts. I heard that her books were mainstream. I always thought they were self-published, but I heard they're actually mainstream traditional.
I didn't know that. I have she wore red trainers in my saved thing. So I'm gonna read that soon. And isn't she black? She's like black and something.
I don't really know. But the Bird King sounds really wonderful, actually.
Yeah, but I can't. But here's the thing: it's one of those books like I'm reading it, and I can't really tell you like what my rating would be. And I can't necessarily say that I even like love it, but it's so interested by it. Like there's just something so
like captures your attention.
Yeah, because even like the island of where the Bird King is throughout the book, we're trying to figure out is that like something that's real or fake. Like, but then they go on this whole journey. They steal a boat like to go to this island, and you don't even know like really where they're going. So I think it's one of those books where it's like the journey is like more important than really the destination. Because I was like, what? But I can say that the Islamic elements in the book are they're spot on. Like they're very true when she talks about the jinns and even their manner. That's another, like we were just kind of talking about that. Like there's a scene where the main jinn, his like sister, kind of helps her out with something, and then after she helps her out, mind you, the main jinn told her in her dream, like, don't trust her, I trust her, you don't trust her. And then so
how am I supposed to trust you though?
Right. And then so she helps her, and then as she's helping her, she then tries to like seduce her, and then the main character Fatima, like she realized like the world's kind of like slipping away around her, and she's like dematerialized, like going into the jinn world or whatever. And then so she just like gets out of that moment, and the jinn is like, I'm sorry, like she's like, I'm sorry, like that's my nature. And I like that. I was like, oh, wow. That's it. Like very spot on, like very much like she was like, I'm sorry. She's like, I like you. And they would also talk about how jinns aren't. She was like, when she was traveling with the main jinn before he like went away, she was asking him questions because he was a dog the whole time in the palace. And then next thing you know,
he was a dog the whole time.
Yes, and she was the only person next to him. She was the only person next to him. So then when they were running away, the dog turned into the jinn, and she's like, "Whoa!" Thought she was a puppy. Thought she was a puppy. So what is this? What's going on?
Dang, I'm gonna have to read this.
Yeah, it was really good. But he was telling her about how like jinns don't like fall in love, like they have obsessions. I'm like, you see, talk about it. Stop romanticizing these jinns out here. It's not okay.
Not with humans anyway.
No.
They're obsessed with you, sis. They're not in love. They're obsessed.
Stop. Oh my gosh, we were talking for mad long. This is almost 2 hours. Wow.
This is definitely a good conversation.
It is. Okay, last question because it just came in. What are some topics? Wait, my AirPod's about to die. But what are some topics y'all want to be explored more in Muslim books? I know you were talking about the fantasy thing.
Yes, I definitely want more fantasy in Muslim books that isn't magic based or jinn based. Like, I want some Muslim dragons. Like, come on, like give me anything.
Yes,
like, you can give me
Muslims in space. Like
in space, like you can give me anything.
Oh my God. Somebody wrote a book about like Muslims in space, and then like the aliens are like also Muslim. That because everything in creation like worships Allah. Like
I need that, sis.
Read a book.
This is really, really simple, but I want to see more Muslims in books praying. Like there are so many books with Muslim representation, where the characters just don't pray, like just everyday rituals of being Muslim, like they just never do. It's like,
remember I told you that was the one thing I noticed in internment. I was like, how if I don't remember nothing else, how she not making salat? She don't got no dua. That's
and I struggle with praying, so I get that, but you didn't even think about it. Like,
let me take these out. Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, like that's what I love.
All right, your like, we can't hear you now. You're like, you sound far away. I can pretty sort of hear you, but you still sound like really far. Kind of like we yelling down a hallway. Like, cup your hands and see if that works.
Wait. Is this better? No?
Yeah, that's better.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Ciao. But yeah, in All American Muslim Girl, there's a scene where she's praying and she's like she finds herself like yearning to pray. And she kind of looks at it as like a break from just, like, the world. And she has this moment, and me and Sajid talk about this all the time. This moment where she's praying, and she's just like, after she prays, like after she salams out, she was just sitting there thinking about how when she prays, like after feeling so alone and being the only Muslim person and nobody knows that she's Muslim, praying makes her feel connected to like the whole ummah. And like that scene was so beautiful. Like even the way she was describing it, I was about to cry. Like, oh my God. And also for the sake of like, as Muslims, like you obviously want to encourage people to practice and get closer to Allah. Like, you know, it was such a beautiful moment to me when I DM'd the author. I was like reading about Ali's story. Like when she was praying, like I said, I was like, dang, did I make my salats? Like, you know, when the last time I read Quran, like X, Y, and Z, like when did I listen to an Islamic lecture? Like still holding up the core elements of Islam and, you know, inshallah, encouraging your readers to do better and to be better Muslims. So I would love to see that. City of Brass features Ali praying. Aw.
I agree. Like City of Brass is definitely intertwined with magic and jinns as well. Heads up. But that's what I'm saying about liking these stories. Like I enjoy them when I read them, but it's like like, dang, you put so much work into this, like, and it's so good. But you know, can you write something without like the jinns and the magic just once?
Yeah,
but I definitely agree with wanting more of that search for your own faith. Search for Islam, like instead of it being a fight against everybody else to not be Muslim, and the story still ends with the character like not finding any type of anything to do with religion, but let me go back home to my parents and thank you, mom and dad, for having me and bringing me.
Yo, literally in Hala at the end, sis, she after all of that, like I'm coming to find out her father was having like an affair, had a whole child on the side, a whole child. Yes,
a whole baby.
Yes, her mother with a white woman. So her mother got the courage to divorce him. Mind you, her mother's like never even like finished school, like any of that. So the mother finally divorces him. And so Hala goes away for college. And after all of this, you think, I'm like, okay, she's cool with her mom. Maybe she's learning some strength from her mother. She gets to college. The last scene, she prays. She takes off her hijab and she walks outside. And I'm just like what was the resolution? Like, was the hijab real? So that was all of this. You sleeping with a random guy, you trying to sleep with your teacher, you having panic attacks was all tied to your hijab. Like, you really, like, do you feel better? Really? Like
taking it off was what fixed everything for you and tied it up in a neat bow.
Especially when the hijab was back here anyway. Like, I was like, okay, what? I don't know what was that going to do for you. And it just sucks because we can say wholeheartedly a lot of these stories with this type of Muslim representation are just not properly written. Even the shows and the movies, they're not good. Outside of the fact that representation is trash, it's not good. Like, what type of character development is that?
It's not, because it's like, what happened? Where, like, what got fixed?
Nothing.
What got fixed?
Nothing. I want Muslims and books to pray, fast, and maybe make dua. Nadira said that's her scarf.
Wait, huh? Hold on.
Nadira said that's her scarf.
This is not her scarf, bro. We're over here having a full-blown conversation. She comes and goes, is that my scarf?
She was quiet for a little bit. She come back with her doctor. I'm tired of Nadira. I'm telling Maryam, I need to take a trip to Jersey.
Bro.
No.
we're gonna find some stuff to do in Jersey.
Yeah, definitely want to take a trip. Okay, you guys, thank you for joining us. This was so long. I had so much fun. This is exactly what I needed, honestly. Like just a cute little halal laugh, some Ramadan friends, entertainment. Nobody was out here sinning. MashaAllah. Proud of y'all. Proud of us. I hope everybody is fasting. I hope you are eating some amazing food this Ramadan. And if you are, by yourself for Ramadan, we're all dealing with that, just being alone during Ramadan, how weird that is. But, we're all here together virtually. Like I kept saying throughout the whole entire thing, my next live show the next challenge for May is to read a historical fiction book by a Muslim author. And when I say history, I mean history very loosely. Like even books about like the Gulf War, or even if it is a book about like 9/11, to all the way a book about like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like anything, like it doesn't have to be fiction if you don't want it to be, but I just want us to read more about like Islamic history and what life was like in these countries back then when Islam was like allowed to be practiced, but in peace without, imperialism and white people. So yeah. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed this. Thank you, Maryam, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And so make sure you guys are following her. I will leave all her links down below. Hopefully she will come out of hiatus.
On Instagram in particular, if you guys want to follow me on my regular page, and then once I put my Bookstagram back up, then I'll let people know. I
will definitely leave the links to everything down below. Catch up on the other live shows. This was so much fun. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.